Hey guys, Karan from Mobi Scrub here, and I've got the Galaxy A8 Star here for review. It's priced at $34,990 for the only variant that it has to offer. So let's see if it's all worth it. The Galaxy A series generally are the closest to flagship S series devices, so you can expect a lot more from them as compared to the Galaxy J and the Galaxy On series. Now quickly diving into the box, at first you get, your standard documentation, no soft case, just the quick start guide along with the ejection pin. Moving on, you get the Galaxy A8 Star. It feels pretty good in my hand, I think. It's got a really nice glass back, love the white color, it's really thin and it's a bit heavy, but that's probably because of its battery, so we'll get into more details later. It's Galaxy A series, so you do get a fast charger, which is great to have, and a Type-C cable, so you've got a Type-C data syncing and charging port on the Galaxy A8 Star. Moving on, you have the earphones. Oh, so these are the nice in-ear earphones, not the ones that you get with the Galaxy On or the Galaxy J series. Those are not as good, but these ones are pretty awesome. And that's about it. Alright, so here's the Galaxy A8 Star in my hand, and first impressions, without switching on anything, it feels quite nice. I mean, it does feel premium, it does feel classy. The white color looks fabulous, and the material is very similar to the ones that you see in flagship devices like the S9 Plus, the S9, the Note 9, and so on. And getting into the specs real quick, you get the latest Android 8 Oreo powered by an octa-core processor, the Snapdragon 660 clocked at 2.2 GHz with 6 gigs of RAM. You get a massive 6.3-inch Super AMOLED FHD Plus display, dual SIM slot with an option to expand storage with microSD card, face unlock, fingerprint unlock, notification LED, you get auto brightness, it's got Bixby Assistant as well, and you have a dual camera setup at the back, a 24 megapixel lens with a 16 megapixel lens. So in this review, we will focus on first the things that I think are really good about the phone, and then we'll move into things that are not so good. The first thing is the beautiful glass back. It's amazing. I have the white color and it looks really good. It's glass and that gives it a really nice, sophisticated, classy look. But it does mean it's prone to cracking and fingerprint smudging, although on the color white, fingerprint smudges are not that obvious. Next is the overall design. It's really slim and sleek for a device that has a 6.3-inch large display. And it really feels close to the flagships like the Galaxy S8 Plus, the S9 Plus, and even the Note 9 in blue that you see here. And I think it's got to do with the choice of materials, which is a great compliment. The next is the 3700 mAh battery, which is pretty kick-ass capacity. It has a Snapdragon 660, so the 3700 mAh battery will easily last you the entire day without dying on you. Be assured, with moderate to even high use, the battery will last you all the way from the morning until the night with some battery to spare, which I think that's really nice. The display is also phenomenal. You get a massive 6.3-inch Super AMOLED display with an extreme resolution of 1080 by 2220 pixels. So you get a really nice, colorful, punchy, vivid display with really deep blacks and high contrast. Super AMOLED, like always, have eye-popping colors. Some love it, some hate it. I'm a fan of the Super AMOLED, so I'm really appreciative of the display quality here. And again, the colors are just so good on this phone. You also get auto brightness option, unlike the Galaxy J and the On series, so that's a pretty good thing to have. Next is the fact that this is the first phone below the S series which now comes integrated with Bixby Voice. It's not the usual Bixby Home, which is not as useful as Bixby Voice. Bixby Voice is extremely powerful. I mean, you can do a host of things integrated with a lot of apps on your phone. So all your phone related stuff as well as app related stuff can be simply executed with voice commands. Now, what I really like is quick commands in the Bixby Voice. Basically, I create a pre-configured Bixby Voice instruction like leaving home, which has 5 things to do, and all of those have been configured by me. So every time I'm leaving home, I just, I speak it out to Bixby and it executes those instructions in that order, which I think is very convenient. And the last thing I want to praise is the front-facing camera. It's got a 24 megapixel sensor with an aperture of f2.0. So that implies that you get beautiful, very sharp looking, detailed selfies. There are also a bunch of beauty controls that you can manipulate to make your selfie look exactly the way you want. And here are a couple of selfie shots that were taken using this camera, and you can judge the quality on your own. It is a 24 megapixel front-facing camera, so the images are quite large in size and they're well detailed. Colors are nice and they've come out pretty natural as well. But I do find the shots slightly overexposed. So if you look at the lights in the background, they're quite bright. And by the way, all of these are taken in auto mode with no filter applied. But if you did open the camera in selfie mode, there is an option called Smart Beauty mode, and that's what it does. The pictures, they come out really bright, and I found them really unnatural. So you might just want to try it in different lighting conditions to get the best effect. But so far the Smart Beauty mode really does enhance the image in a little unnatural way. Just one thing to notice, you don't have a front-facing LED flash, so that's just a miss on this device. And another thing that's not a big deal, but it's always good to have, is a hybrid slot. So you can have two SIM cards together, or one SIM card and one micro SD card to expand storage. I like that flexibility. Now, before we move into things that are not so good about the device, let me quickly comment on the camera here, because that's really a neutral zone. So it's got a 24 megapixel plus a 16 megapixel dual camera setup with an aperture of f1.7. It's capable of shooting 4K and Full HD videos at 30 frames per second. And here are some samples that I shot using the rear camera of the Galaxy A8 Star. All of them are available for download. There's a link in the description below, so just download the pictures and you can have a look at the quality for yourself. As compared to the OnePlus 6 camera, because both of these phones are at a similar price point, the OnePlus 6 camera pictures, the quality is pretty much the same. It's just that those images are slightly more saturated, the dynamic range is slightly better. As compared to that, the Galaxy A8 Star images look a little washed out, but truly in terms of quality and, all of those things, I think the cameras are pretty similar and they're not very different. So it's really just a choice, and you can always use filters to match them up, very honestly. I just want to point out one more thing. If you go into your camera settings and picture size, I see 16 megapixel as the highest. I mean, generally I should have seen 24 megapixel as the highest because the primary lens is 24 megapixel, but I don't see that here. So just something to wonder. And now coming to a few things that I did not like about the A8 Star. First is the processor. At best, it's a decent performer. It's not as bad as the Snapdragon 450, nor is it as awesome as the Snapdragon 845. Competitors in this segment like the Asus Zenfone 5Z and OnePlus 6 do offer Snapdragon 845 with 6 gigs of RAM, which is much more powerful than the Snapdragon 660 in the A8 Star. Even if you look at the performance benchmarks, you'll see a major gap, but please note, these benchmarks shouldn't be taken very seriously. They're just indicators of performance. The operating software and the application optimization, both from the manufacturer's end and the developer's end, does impact performance. That said, the processor will handle all your intensive apps without any hiccups. From a usability standpoint, launching and closing of apps, multitasking, and all of that would be a breeze. You really won't have any issues, to be very honest. It's just that it will not be as fast and snappy as the flagships generally are, the ones that come with Snapdragon 845. I did play Asphalt 9 on this device and I faced absolutely no issue. The game played pretty smoothly, the graphics look really good, and the response to touch is also pretty nice. So, I know it's got a Snapdragon 660, but it does the job pretty well. The next is the position of the fingerprint sensor, which I would have ideally liked to have where the Samsung logo is, but I do have to stretch my finger all the way up to get there. And that's pretty annoying. I mean, I just want it to be there and it's not. So that's another one. Next is that there is no OIS or EIS in the camera. I mean, there is some form of video stabilization, but that's not OIS. And I know that OnePlus 6 does offer optical image stabilization for its videos, and that's just a miss in this device. And lastly, it's the price, and that's a big one but also a tricky one. There are plenty phones in the market that offer Snapdragon 660 or an equivalent capable processor. However, they do that at much lower prices than what Samsung is offering. But Samsung does offer a much more reliable handset which can last you longer than other manufacturers. It also offers voice-based AI, so your Bixby AI, which others don't offer in this segment, including the OnePlus 6. And Samsung also offers a much more extensive and responsible customer service, so it's really a trade-off in your mind that you want to settle by yourself and decide if you want to pay the extra money for Samsung benefits. Just one last thing, Samsung isn't really a fan of the notch-based displays, so if you're looking for something like that, here is a list that you can go through. Overall, the Galaxy A8 Star may not be a value for money phone, but it is a Samsung phone and it does offer a couple of things that other manufacturers just can't compete with. But after the Galaxy S series, the Galaxy A8 Star is probably the best Samsung phone in the Indian market as of now.